County health officials are saying that they are starting to experience a spike in unplanned pregnancies and STDs in the midst of the California State Fair. Experts are encouraging fair participants to stay safe and make smart decisions. The woman said she had just came home from walking her 2-year-old son when her neighbor came from behind her shed and attacked her with a knife. The most recent reports of a 7 to 8 foot great white shark was reported earlier this morning just after 10 a.m. here at the Pismo Beach Pier. I had the opportunity to talk to a surfer who was actually in the water when the great white was spotted. Authorities responded to reports of a fire at this Grover Beach home earlier this morning that has left one person dead and police asking questions. The film Finding Dory was released last month and has been a huge hit, especially here in Morro Bay. The blue tank fish Dory herself is from Morro Bay, California. Morro Bay High School is in the need of a number of upgrades, and thanks to the Measure D funding that was passed back in 2014, we will see those renovations. At approximately 3 a.m. this morning, 25 firefighters reported to a tactical drills training ground facility in San Luis Obispo, where fire units discovered a storage building completely engulfed in flames.
As a vegetation fire, as crews arrived on scene, they came up on a fully involved structure fire, approximately 4,000 square feet with no threat to the vegetation.
It took the Men's Colony Fire Department and the San Luis Obispo City Fire Department about an hour to extinguish the flames. There were no injuries reported. However, the fire did cause an estimated $500,000 worth of damage as the department's training equipment was destroyed in the flames. And
it held a lot of our SCBAs, fire hose. It was used for maybe some apparatus, maybe to build some training type scenarios. A lot of equipment was stored there.
The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Since July 7th, SLO County Fire has recorded 143 wildland fires, 108 structure fires, and 4,964 acres burned. Fire crews have been working diligently to achieve full containment of these fires, but the hot temperatures have not been making it easy. As the weather begins to cool down come fall and winter season, fire departments on the Central Coast hope to see a decrease in fire emergencies. Throughout the past decade, terrorism has left our country in fear for our safety. Many attacks have claimed multiple lives and have left many others wounded. Since the deadly 9/11 attacks that forever changed our country, the United States has led the assault against terrorism in hopes of establishing peace. Russell Howard is now a retired one-star general from the military. He served from 1970 to 2005. Now he is a retired rancher who lives with his wife and kids in Paso Robles. He has given talks and written several books on counterterrorism and how it has affected our country's security. When I spoke with General Howard, he gave a clear insight into the issue of counterterrorism.
We need to take ISIS seriously. I don't think in the country we take it very seriously. If you'll notice the two conventions, political conventions that are going on, barely a mention.
With the most recent terrorist attacks that have taken place around the globe, we asked General Howard, how can the United States prepare themselves for enemy attacks?
Are fairly certain that there is a person or persons that are going to conduct a terrorist attack. I think we need to be more aggressive in interviewing them and perhaps arresting them than we are now.
I had the opportunity to catch up with the captain of the San Luis Obispo Police Department and ask about their procedures for terrorist activities.
The location is always going to be different. If it's at a school, if it's at a movie theater, if it's at a nightclub, those are the things that are really sometimes the biggest challenge is really how do you handle those situations depending on the venue. So I think that for us is the biggest thing to really consider is what venue are we dealing with? Are we dealing with a school? Are we dealing with a nightclub that's crowded and noisy? Are we dealing with a movie theater where it's dark and there's a lot of chaos? So I think the venue is really the biggest thing to consider when we respond to these.
Where exactly are you trying to go?
To the gym of the Baltic, the Jewel of Morro Bay, California. Yes.
No.
The Disney Pixar film Finding Dory has been a huge hit all over the country, but particularly here on the Central Coast. Dory, the blue tank fish, is from Morro Bay, California, and since the film's release last month, there has been a lot more foot traffic in the area than usual. The Morro Bay Aquarium, where Dory was portrayed in the movie, is now a very popular spot among fans. I had the opportunity to talk to aquarium manager John Alcorn, who says ever since the release of the movie, business has been blooming.
In the month of June, the numbers from the previous year to this year were down, but once the movie released, business has just been good.
Talking to local residents in the streets, they did not find this all too surprising. However, Donald England of Morro Bay says he was actually quite surprised.
But it's cool. I mean, I can go back. I'm going back to Florida the end of next month, and I can tell all my family back there, did you see that movie, Finding Dory? Well, the town I live in is pretty popular now,
The popularity of the film is also attracting people from neighboring cities. A resident of Grover Beach, Sergio Gutierrez, says the movie is one of many great reasons to come visit Morro Bay and see what the town has to offer.
It's a great movie, and this is a great town anyway, so, pay it a visit.
Football injuries across the nation have been a problem for athletes for quite some time now. Here locally in San Luis Obispo, certified athletic trainer Shelby Labandola says prevention is important to keep student athletes healthy.
We want coaches to understand that before an athlete starts to look bad, that we've stopped it before it got to that point.
Teaching parents and coaches that it's important to cut down on the amount of time athletes wear equipment and spend hours in the sun is necessary to reverse these statistics. Plus, the new CIF rules implemented to protect young athletes limits high school sports practices to 18 hours a week. The upcoming seminar at Templeton High School will be focused on youth and high school level football players. However, the seminar is not just focused on head injuries such as concussions, but also other injuries like ACL injuries, MCL injuries, and knee sprains.
Repetitive head trauma chokes the brain. It turns you into someone else.
ACL surgery in the teenage years, it's a big surgery. It takes you out of sports for a long period of time, and it can have effects the rest of your life. And so we want these athletes to have those. How do I strengthen? How do I appropriately use my body and my sport to prevent these injuries?
A football parent, Mark Avery, has a freshman and a senior gearing up to compete on the gridiron this upcoming fall at Templeton High School. He told me that he has spoken with his kids about playing safe.
I want you playing smart. I want you playing aggressively, but I want you playing ready to play.
Although football is a seasoned sport, for Mark and his family, it is year-round. He is grateful that his children have the opportunity to come out here and compete and that the community can show their support.
We need for athletes to understand what they need to look for in themselves to prevent these injuries, what we need parents to know to look for to override a child who's saying, oh no, I'm fine, and then that last level with the coach.
With the 2016 Rio Olympics coming to a close this past Sunday, I had the opportunity to catch up with a former Olympian, Mary Rand, who competed in the 1960 and 1964 games. Mary Rand is a local who had been living in Atascadero for the past 20 years. However, this was not always the case. She is a Great Britain native that first competed in the Rome Olympics in 1960, just at the age of 20 years old.
It does take you back, and being the age I am now and I see these athletes running, it's like, did I really do that?
During the games, Mary overstrode in the long jump and her team dropped the baton during the relay.
I was favorite to win, hadn't been beaten, and everything went wrong.
It was a disappointing finish for Mary and her team. Despite the outcome, Mary competed in the 1964 Olympics in Tokyo when she was 24 years old.
It's such a nervous time, but once you get in those blocks and you're down on, in your start position, you forget all of that. And you're just there for the moment.
It was there where she became the first woman in Great Britain to win gold.
I mean, it was very emotional, but it was an amazing moment, something I'll never forget.
She broke the world record in the women's long jump and also walked away with a silver medal in the pentathlon and a bronze in the 4x100 meter relay.
I think, when you've trained, and if you're well trained and prepared, I think you just have to focus on that day and really do the best you can.
Mary concluded that her teammates and her family's positive encouragement during the Olympic trials helped her compete and win gold.